But it wasn't just fun that got Hubble interested. He wanted to find the answer to the big question all astronomers were then asking: how large is the universe? To do this, he needed to get his hands on the biggest telescope he could find. He got himself a job at Mount Wilson Observatory in California. Its brand new 100-inch reflector telescope could reveal details about stars which no one had guessed at before. Hubble's main interest was in nebulae. Nebulae is the Latin word for clouds, and that's what most astronomers thought they were, clouds of gas, out there in the Milky Way. These early photographs looked grainy and crude, but they were the best that could be achieved with the technology of the time. And it could be hard work. Even though Mount Wilson is in California, the observatory is on top of a mountain and it can get very cold. And that wasn't the only problem. Quite apart from the perishing cold, taking photographs of distant stars was a really tricky business. First of all, you had to take a photographic plate like this one, a great heavy thing, mount it in the back of the telescope, line up the telescope precisely on the tiny patch of sky you wanted, then take out the dark slide like this to expose the film to the light coming in, and then track your star for hours and hours. Because if you didn't keep exact track of it, your picture would be all fuzzy and you'd have to start all over again. But when the mighty 100-inch telescope was pointed at the nebulae, it became plain that they were not just gas, but clouds of stars, millions of them. And this set off another debate. Were these clouds of stars part of our galaxy, or were they separate galaxies, far, far beyond the Milky Way? Hubble photographed more than 500 nebulae. He saw they came in different shapes, spirals and ellipses. They seemed big enough to be called galaxies, but how far away were they? Were they part of the Milky Way, or out there on their own? Most astronomers firmly believed that the Milky Way was the only galaxy. They were led by Harlow Shapley of Harvard University.
On one hand, we had the astronomer Harlow Shapley, a Harvard astronomer, who said that the Milky Way galaxy is all there is. Think about it. In the night sky, you see this swath of light cutting across the sky called the Milky Way. And this Harvard astronomer says, that's the universe. That's all there is. The universe is nothing but the Milky Way galaxy. Well, here comes Edwin Hubble, who tries to settle the question. How big is the universe anyway?
Shapley and his colleagues didn't like Hubble. They mocked his English accent and thought he was a bit of a snob. But the rivalry spurred Hubble on. For night after night, he peered out through his telescope and took photographs of one of the largest nebulae in the constellation of Andromeda. When he compared the photographs, he noticed something remarkable. And this is one of the very photographs that Hubble himself took. On the 6th of October 1923, he wrote the date on it. If you look, it's a negative. Normally when you look up, you see the stars bright against a black sky, but they're rather hard to pinpoint. And if you print them this way around, a negative, it's easier to pinpoint the stars, and so they're black against a white background. But what really excited him was this up here. Between these two black lines, there's a tiny dot, and he's marked it VAR with an exclamation mark. VAR means variable star. The reason he was excited is that variable stars are pulsating balls of gas that go bright, dim, with a regular cycle. And although he had no means of finding out how far away these nebulae were, he did have a method of finding out the distance to a variable star. The maths is complicated. Astronomers spend more time doing sums than looking at the stars. But in brief, once Hubble had found this variable star and had studied how bright it was and how long it took to go from bright to dim, he was able to work out how far away it was. And the answer he came up with was 2 million light years. That's something like 40 times further away than anything in the Milky Way. Obviously, it was a totally different part of the universe. It was proof that the universe was far, far bigger than his rivals had claimed.